We can't wait. So, you know, it was very interesting. I was backstage, we were taking some pictures, and a beautiful woman came up to me and she said, you know, I'm the daughter of Annabelle Hill. Does anybody know Annabelle Hill? Right? The famous Annabelle Hill. She was a great woman from Georgia, actually, right across the way. And she was having her farm taken away. And I haven't done this ever before, but I just said maybe we should talk about it a little bit because, you know, we have a lot of people and a lot of distress and a lot of problems, and we're going to solve all those problems. But her daughter came up to me and said, Mr. Trump, would you sign this photo? And it's a photo of me. I was about 2 years old, it looks like. Look, see, that's me. And that's Annabelle Hill, and she was having a very tough time. And I read about it, and I paid off her mortgage. Big deal, right? And her daughter, Betsy Sharp, came, and she gave me the picture. She said, Mr. Trump, could you sign this? We pray for you every night. I said, why do you pray for me every night? Explain this to me. She said, I'm the daughter of Annabelle Hill. I said, come on out. So, Betsy, come out wherever you are. Come out, Betsy. Come on over here. And she's a Trump fan. She should be a Trump fan, right? So nice. Thank you. Say a few words. That's so nice.
So, 30 years ago, actually this month, February the 4th, my father committed suicide. He was going to lose our family farm that had been in the family for over 100 years. And when Donald Trump heard the story, he reached out to help save it. So we are very, very thankful and appreciative of his generosity to save our family farm. So today my brother lives on the farm, and he has one of his daughters that have built a house. But if it wasn't for his generosity, his kind heart, he didn't know us from Burke County at all. And he saw the story and could not believe that, you know, the bank was forcing my father to go to that depth. He just couldn't, you know, handle losing the farm in his generation, but he did, and unfortunately the insurance did not pay for it, and so Donald Trump stepped in and helped save it. And he is very, what I want y'all to know is how kind-hearted and caring he is. He cares about America, he cares about farmers, he cares about veterans. He truly wants to make America great again, and I think if we help him, we can get there. So I want y'all to know that.
Say hello to the family, all right? How nice is that? What a nice woman. She just a great family. I never told this before. I figured I could do it a lot cheaper than paying off the mortgage. I found out the name of the bank. That was a mean banker, I want to tell you. That was a mean. Then I called up, we're going to take you through hell. We're going to this, we're going to that. I couldn't get the guy to cut, so I bought the mortgage. I said, the hell with it. I never told that story before. I thought it was going to cost me a lot less money, but it was all right. She's a great woman. Passed away, but passed away very happy. And it was just nice. I haven't been involved in that in a long time. But I love to do things. I do a lot of that. And I don't talk about it. I don't like to talk about it. But it's good to do things like that for people. It's nice. It's nice. Makes you feel good. So I just want to thank everybody. This is such, look at the crowd, look at the people pouring in. But it's just been an amazing experience. Being in South Carolina is, you know, I have so many friends. I've been here many times. I do like Myrtle Beach, by the way. Great place. Great place. And even though Augusta is a little bit on the other side of things, it's not a bad place, we have to say, right? You have a big event coming up there very soon. We always do, and I know you get a lot of the profits go right into your own pocket, so that's a good thing. But it's one of my favorite events, of all sporting events. Truly one of my favorite events. So it's an honor to be with you folks, and you know we have such a big decision to make, and it's just so important. Saturday is going to be a really important day. As you know, we won New Hampshire big. That was a big one. And just had an amazing time up there. We were expected to get 28, 29%. We ended up getting 36% in the polls, and it was amazing. We won every single category. We won rich, we won poor, we won middle, we won heavy and thin. We won we won women, we won men. We won highly educated, and we won the people with high school and people with less than high school, and we won every category. And it was an amazing period of time, and they're great people, and we have great people. It's just incredible. And I knew New Hampshire pretty well, and I know South Carolina pretty well. I mean, beyond the political stuff, because I have so many friends that live here. It's one of the beautiful places of the world, and really very important politically, because I think if we can win on Saturday, you got to vote on Saturday. Oh, please. Please. Get out and vote. You know, I kid, but perhaps I'm not kidding. I start off by saying, you know the story, right? If you're sick, if the doctor tells you you're not going to make it, you don't have a chance, but you can't get up, and your wife tells you she doesn't like you anymore, she fell in love with another man, it doesn't matter. You got to get out of bed and you got to vote, right? You got to vote. It's true. Now, you have to get out. You have to vote, because it's so important. And, you know, you're going to have a lot to do with, it's called Make America Great Again. These politicians are not going to do it. The politicians are not going to be able to do it. I know them. I know them. They get taken care of by the lobbyists. You saw that with the debate. I walk on stage, I've got like this huge poll number. I walk on stage, everyone is very quiet. Although my kids and my wife, they were going crazy, but you can't really do, it's sort of wild. It was a wild time. And I love the debate, and we got very good reviews on the debate. But the room was stacked with special interests and lobbyists and all these guys that pay the candidates money. And every time certain of the candidates, in this case it was Bush and Rubio, every time they said something, I agree. Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with it. But every time they said something, they got like applause. Bush made a statement. It was like this jumbled up statement with all sorts of, I mean, it was ridiculous. And everyone said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was the one, I gave two very highly conservative judges, really. And people go, well, you know, it's fine. But, I mean, that's to a certain extent the RNC fault. But they let the tickets get away, and they shouldn't have that. I mean, shouldn't have a thing like that. Now, you have to call them out. So I called them out. I said, you know, that's the lobbyist and the special interest in the audience. You ought to see that audience. That was the richest audience I think I've ever seen. The heads of the drug companies, the heads of the electric companies, the heads of every special interest you can imagine was in that room that night. And I'll tell you what, I'm honored to represent you people. I'm self-funding. I'm putting up my own money. I'm honored. I'm honored. You know, it's time. Don't forget, I was on the other side of the equation before June 16th. On June 16th, I came down the escalator, famous ride. I always say, you've never seen so much press. You look back and you saw that press, and I said, man, that's like the Academy Awards. The day, June 16th in Manhattan at Trump Tower. And I said to we have to do it. You know, I'm watching the Iran deal where we're giving, you know, all this money away, right? $150 billion for nothing. 150, think of it. We're giving away $150 billion, and we get nothing. We get nothing. And now, if you look, Iran is taking over Iraq on top of everything else. They're taking over Iraq. We should have never been there. Now, I should get something for vision, because when I said it, people disagreed with me. But I said, and I'm the most militaristic person in this room, believe me. Our military is going to be so big, so strong, so powerful. Nobody's going to mess with us. Nobody. But we've been over there, folks, for 15 years, and we're beyond zero, if you think. We are in worse shape now than we were 15 years ago, right? If our politicians went to the beach and did nothing, we'd be in better shape. Saddam Hussein, no good guy, and all of them, no good, but they killed terrorists. Saddam Hussein killed terrorists. That's what he did. Now Iraq is a haven for terrorists. If you want to go to Harvard of terrorism, you go to Iraq, okay? And, you know, so it's a shame. And after all of these years, now, with that being said, we're there. And we have ISIS. And we got to do something about ISIS, because these are people chopping off heads of Christians. They're chopping off heads of anybody, frankly, and we got to knock the hell out of them. We're going to knock the hell out of them. We have to. We have to. We shouldn't have been there, and Obama shouldn't have gotten us out the way we got out, okay? You don't tell people the date that we're leaving. Can you imagine General Patton or General Douglas MacArthur, George Patton? I mean, this guy was so tough. See, he couldn't be a general today because he was too nasty and he wasn't politically correct. And he would say things that people said, well, that's not very nice. And yet his men and women, but in those cases it was men, in all fairness, it was men. They didn't have too many women in those days in terms of the infantry. But his people, his soldiers, they died for him. They would die for him. But they loved him. But a guy like that today, maybe not politically correct, I don't know, but I want that kind of a guy. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. I watch some of these guys being interviewed. They're retiring. They always go on the talk shows. I don't want my generals on talk shows. You know, they'll say things, and we have to be like, you know, a little bit secretive, a little bit something. And they'll tell us about the military. One of them said, General Ordiano, good guy, but he's retiring. He's on one of the talk shows a few months ago, and he's talking about how weak our military is. I don't want a guy, even if it is, I know it's weak. It's depleted. It's depleted. But he said it's the weakest it's been. It's the weakest it's been since its inception. Now, I don't know, does he mean from the beginning of the... It was an unbelievable statement. He said it's the least preparedness. Honestly, even if it's true, I don't want people to think that. Does that make sense? You know? We want to just sort of say we're great, 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 and then at the end we're going to be great, but they got to give me like a year or two to get there. We got to be strong. But I don't want people saying it's weak. I don't want them. They have no right to say that. Even if it's true, I mean, it's true. You don't have to talk. You don't have to say anything wrong, but you don't have to talk. And these generals, they talk. One of them was on one of the shows, a very big general, and he was talking about ISIS. He was telling, oh, it's very shocking. Well, how can we defeat them quickly? Oh, I don't know. I mean, if I'm ISIS and I watch this guy, I'm saying, man, this is like great. This is great. We're not like the same country anymore. We don't win anymore. We're going to start winning so much. I am so sick and tired of this. I mean, I see it so much. I see it so much. And I don't want to use the military. Remember this. I'm the one that was the one person that didn't want to go in. We are going to be respected again. We're not respected. Our leader's not respected. Our leader's not respected. Obama's not respected. Hillary Clinton is a joke. If she gets in, she's like a joke. You know, I turned on last night, I'm sure you saw it. I'm watching television, and I see her barking like a dog, right? No, she's barking like a dog. And everyone's saying, oh, wasn't that wonderful? Wasn't that wonderful? Isn't that cute? Isn't that great? If I ever did that, I would be ridiculed all over the place. I won't do it. I'm not going to imitate her. But she's barking like a dog, and they're saying, wonderful. Trump does it. Believe me, you'd read about it. What's wrong with Trump? So there'll be no barking. But we're going to be respected again. We have to be respected again. And every single country in the world is taking advantage of us. Every country that we do business with. Our trade is a disaster. We're going to lose $500 billion with China this year on trade deficits. Think of it. Think of it. We can't do it. You're right. We can't do it. We can't do it. We can't continue. Japan with their cars, they send them in like they're candy. Like they're candy. I go to Los Angeles, I see some of the boats, the biggest ships I've ever seen. The cars are pouring off like at 40 miles an hour, just wah, wah, boom, next boat. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, we defend Japan. We defend Germany. A lot of people don't know. Does anybody know that we defend Germany? Do people know that? Most people don't even know it. We defend Germany. It's a behemoth, meaning an economic behemoth. Of course, if Angela Merkel keeps allowing the migrants in, it's not going to be a behemoth. It's going to end up in a civil war. What she's doing is insane, by the way. It's insane. What she's doing to Germany. I have a friend, German, very proud of being German, and he said he's moving out of the country. Okay, can you believe this? I don't know what happened with her. You know, I build what you do. You build a safe zone in Syria. You have the Gulf states who are putting up no money. You have the Gulf states put up the money because we're not putting up the money. We owe $19 trillion. I'm not a politician. You know, I like to be careful with the money. We're not putting up the money. They have tremendous amounts of money. You know, Saudi Arabia, before the oil crash, was making $1 billion a day. Hard to believe. I mean, money like nobody's ever seen before. Funds like nobody's ever seen before. They were making $1 billion a day. We defend them. They pay us peanuts. We have military bases. We have to pay rent. We pay rent, and we defend them. And I have great friends that are Saudis. They're great, wonderful. Everything's fine. But why? I even say, why aren't you paying us for this? So we defend them. When somebody comes around and watch Iran. So they're taking over Yemen. They don't want Yemen. But what's on the other side of that long, long border? Saudi Arabia. They want to go into Saudi Arabia. They want the oil. I know what's going to happen. Not if I'm the head, it's not going to happen, but that's okay. But I know what's going to happen. But they got to pay for us. We can't do this stuff anymore. We protect Germany. Germany, who doesn't have a BMW? They have BMWs, they have Mercedes. But you look at what's going on in the car business, and you see what's happening. You see our business is moving over to Mexico. You see other people are moving into Mexico. Mexico is going to become the next China on a smaller level. But you take a look at Germany, and you say, why are we defending them? Now, it's wonderful to defend, but they got to pay us something. Now, you look at our budget. You know, a lot of people say that, oh, we have this big military budget. Well, we do. We have a massive, much bigger than anybody else's, but much of it is to protect other countries. So we defend Japan. So here's the deal with Japan. If we're attacked for some reason. Oh, boy, would they be crazy. If I'm president, would somebody be crazy to attack us? Oh, those poor people. Oh, anybody, we don't need Japan to help us, believe me. We wouldn't need Japan to help us. Now, if Obama's president and we get attacked, I feel sorry for you. Okay. But, so with Japan, if we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to do anything, right? If Japan gets attacked, we have to go and defend them totally, probably World War III. Okay? Japan gets into a war with China, we have to defend Japan. Okay? But we get in a war with somebody, they don't have to do anything. Not exactly the kind of deal that I'm used to, right? We're going to change things around. We're going to change things around. I'll give you another example. South Korea. So we have a border. We have 28,000 troops. I wouldn't want to be a troop on that border with this maniac on the other side. 28,000 troops on the border, right? He's got nuclear and all of this. You ever notice the Iran deal's horrible, and they don't have nuclear. They will soon based on that. They'll just buy it. They don't have to do anything. They can buy it. They have so much money now. But we're going to do something about that. But remember this. So we have a border, and you have this maniac in North Korea, and we defend. And you know we get, every time I order thousands of television sets and air conditioners and all this stuff, it comes out of South Korea. They're an economic monster. They make a fortune, right? They make all the stuff. We used to make the televisions. Remember Sylvania, RCA? We used to make this stuff. We don't make it anymore. We don't make anything anymore. We're going to start making things now. We're going to start making. We don't make anything anymore. It's been taken away. But we defend South Korea. So every time he raises his head and he says, we're going to this, we're going to that, he starts throwing a rocket up in the air. Half of the time it doesn't get off the ground, but when it does, everyone gets crazy. And I say to myself, we send our ships. We start sending ships, everything else. It costs you $1 million just to start one of those aircraft carriers up. Like, boom, 1 million, right? We get nothing. What do we get? We get nothing. We will, he says, what? I didn't hear it. It's good. See, I'm not allowed to say that, because if I say that, it becomes a front page story, so I refuse to say it. But we aren't allowed, think of it. We spend money to defend the world, and we owe $19 trillion. And then we have our Republicans who are more upset with than the Democrats, because the Democrats, we know where they're coming from. The Republicans approved a budget 4 weeks ago that gave Obama every single thing he wanted. Right? Who is that booer over there? That's a good, boy, you got a good voice. Sounds like Pavarotti. And I always say Obama's a lousy negotiator, but he's a great negotiator against the Republicans, and we're Republicans. So we're going to change all that around. Look, trade. We are losing a fortune. We're going to have the best people. Carl Icahn, one of the great businessmen of the world. We have the best people. We have the best business people in the world. We have the best negotiators. We don't use them. We use political hacks to make deals with China. China, from the time they're 3 years old, if they see somebody's a genius, boom, boom, boom. It's like the pyramid thing where they just go up, up, up. And by the time they get to the top, we're negotiating with the toughest, smartest people you've ever seen. And we have guys that don't even know what they're doing, diplomats. We have Carolyn Kennedy in Japan. Carolyn Kennedy, she's not trained for this. Carolyn Kennedy. So, and I always say, she's a nice person. Who cares? You know why she's nice? Because my daughter likes her, Ivanka. So my daughter likes her. But she's not negotiating for me, that I can tell you. She's negotiating with the Japanese for cars. She didn't even want the job. She goes into the White House on 60 Minutes. You have to see it. She goes, yes, I'd love a job. Because they said, how did you get this job? They did a profile of her. She said, well, I went to the White House and I said, I'd like a job. What would you like to do? Oh, anything. They said, would you like to be the ambassador to Japan? She goes, really? Yeah, I'd like that. You got it. Good luck. Can you believe it? Now we have a new, that's how we pick our negotiators. And the ambassador to Japan has a lot to do. And then the rest of 60 Minutes was showing them whining and dining her. By the time they finish with her, they're going to have an even better agreement than they have already. The thing that people don't know is we have all the cards. Because we are the pot of gold, and they're draining us. We're not going to have the cards much longer. We are the pot of gold. We have rebuilt China. What China has done to us in terms of taking our jobs, taking our base, taking our money, our manufacturing, China has done one of the greatest bank thefts in the history of the world. It's like a bank theft. It's like a theft. One of the greatest thefts in world history has been what China's done to this country. Now, I love China. I love the Chinese people. I sell them condominiums. The biggest bank in the world is from China, and it's a tenant of mine in Manhattan. I mean, it's fine. I don't object to China. I object to our leaders being stupid people, okay? They're stupid people. It's like Mexico is, what's happening with Mexico is incredible because so many businesses, I don't know if you saw what Carrier air conditioning, I buy a lot of air conditioning. I'm going to start buying Train. I'm going to buy Train from now. Carrier air conditioners ended up closing up. They're closing up and they're moving to Mexico. 14 to 1,700 jobs. So you don't buy Carrier anymore. But here's what we have to do. You ready, folks? 1,400 jobs, right? 1,400 jobs, that's right. He's got a good voice, too. Let's see who has better. Let's have a contest. Good voice. 1,400 jobs, 1,400 jobs. And here's what you have to do. Okay, I'm a free trader. I want free trade. I love free trade. I love it coming and everything. But if you look at China, they sell to us no tax. We sell to them, you can't get into the place, okay? You can't get in. Boeing, remember this, we're talking about South Carolina, which I love. You have a big Boeing plant, and it's doing good, and everything's nice. Be careful, because China, in order to get an order of planes, China is making Boeing build this massive plant in China. And all of a sudden, you'll come up, it won't happen if I'm president, by the way. All of a sudden, you'll come up and say, you know, Boeing wants to move all of their production to China, and they're going to be closing up, and this is the way it works, folks, and you're sitting there saying, oh, that couldn't happen. It can happen really easily, because they devalue their currency. They are the greatest money manipulators ever. They monetary manipulate, and they are, what they're doing is genius. They're world-class chess players with devaluation. And our country doesn't even know what to do. And the TPP, which is a horrible trade deal that Obama is pushing, along with some conservative Republicans, okay? And the reason it's horrible is because they don't even talk about devaluations. They don't even talk about monetary manipulation. And that's where they beat us. That's how they beat us more than any other place. We make better products than they do. They beat us with monetary manipulation. And I'll tell you, one of the great achievements for me is going to be when Apple starts, in particular, because they make everything. I mean, you look at what they're doing. You go to China, you see some of these factories that are 2 miles long. When Apple starts building their things in this country, that's going to be a big, big sign. A big, big sign. But you better watch out, because Boeing, you know, you feel good about Boeing. All of a sudden, you're going to find out that Boeing is going to close up over here. They're going to build more over there. They're going to make their planes in China. And it's bye-bye to South Carolina. And that's not going to be good. It's not going to happen with me. It's going to happen with any of these other politicians, because two things. Number one, they're totally controlled by the people that give them the money. Number two, they have no understanding about business. They don't know anything about corporate inversion. They don't know what's going on. You know, we have corporations that are leaving the United States now. Nobody even talks about it. It's, to me, one of the biggest problems we have outside of nuclear, outside of ISIS, outside of that, because to me, that's always going to be number one. Boom, boom. That's always got to be number one. It's got to always be number one, all right? And I think that's one of the reasons I'm doing so well, because everybody agrees I'll be by far the best on the border. Nobody. In fact, you know, I got endorsed by Sarah Palin, and I got it endorsed by Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Now, you know Joe. Now, he's a wild man. One thing you know about Sheriff Joe, If he endorses you, you are the strongest on the border. Do we agree with that? So what? Now we're going to create real borders, and we're going to build the wall, right? We're going to build the wall, and it'll be a real wall. It'll be higher than that ceiling. This is going to be a wall. This is going to be a wall that when you get up there, you're not coming down very easy, I'll tell you. Did you ever see that? And I talk about it all the time, the ramp, where they build a ramp over the little wall they have now. They have a little wall. They build a ramp. They have a truck, an SUV, go over, loaded up with drugs. Over, down, under. They sell the drugs in the United States. So we get the drugs, they get the cash, and it just keeps going on and on. No, this is going to be the real deal, folks. We're going to have a real strong border. And people can come in, but they can't come in legally. They have to go through a legal process. They've got to come in legally. They have to come in legally. Or we don't have a country. So we're going to do a lot of things, and we're going to do a lot of things to make us great again. I mean, great again. We're like a mess. We don't know what we're doing. Think of it. Bad on health care. Bad on Common Core. How about your kids are being educated from Washington by bureaucrats that don't even give a damn? They don't even give a damn. Your kids are being educated by bureaucrats. Now, some are good and some are, I'm sure, maybe. But they're more interested, how much do they get? Common Core is over. You're going to end Common Core. Education. I'll give you an example. Education, we're ranked number 30th in the world. We're number 1 in the world in cost per student. We're so far ahead of number 2 that number 2 doesn't even exist. So you have Sweden, Norway, Denmark, China. These are like the top 4. These are, they do a great job, all right? You have the United States at number 30. But number 1 per pupil in cost. Common Core is out, all right? Common Core is out. We're going to bring education local. And I've seen it. I've seen parents, they're so in love. Even when their sons and daughters graduate from school, they stay because they love, they're in love with the whole process. Their kids are gone, but it almost made it more romantic for them. They do such an amazing job. So that's it. Second Amendment is going to be we are saving, it is under, just so you know, the Second Amendment is under siege. The Second Amendment is under siege by so many different people. And, you look at the Democrats, I'll tell you what, you look at Hillary Clinton, I don't know, again, is she going to get it? But if she gets it, it's like, she doesn't want to have a Second Amendment, in my opinion. If you look, Michael Bloomberg may run, he's worse than she is. I hope Michael runs. Because, yes? Oh, good, okay, he's on my side. I thought he was a protester. That's okay, thank you. Okay, well, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. So, I'll tell you what. So, Second Amendment, it's under siege, totally under siege, and we're going to save the Second Amendment. And I'll tell you what, people want to destroy it. They're taking pieces out. Obama just did the executive order, chunk after chunk after chunk. We're going to save the Second Amendment. Now, if we had people in California where you have the 2 radicalized young couple they talked about, young couple, they got married, they're terrorists. Radical Islamic terrorism. Whether you like it or not, a huge problem for the world, not just for us, and nobody wants to talk about it. I'm the only one that's willing to talk about it. And you know what? Now everyone else is talking about it too. And did I take heat? Did I take heat? I took a lot of heat. But you know what? We have to do something. And I said, we have to have a temporary moratorium. We have to find out what's going on here. We have people flying planes into the World Trade Center. We have people shooting for no reason. Look, we have to find out what's going on. And we will. We've got to find out. But if you're not willing to talk about the subject, if you're not willing, like our president, to even refer to it or use the name, you're never, ever going to solve the problem. And it's a massive problem. It's a massive problem. So when I came on June 16th, I came down the escalator with Melania, my wife, and it was incredible. And during the speech, when I went and said, I'm running for president, which takes courage. Let me tell you, it takes courage, especially if you're not a politician. You know, these politicians, they run. That's all they do. They run, they take money, they run more, they lose. How about some of these guys? They lose. They have zero, and they keep running. I say, why are you running? Why don't you just stop? They keep running. There's got to be some game that we don't know about, but they run. So now we're down to 6 or 7 people. And it's getting good, and we love it. You know what? We had 17. We originally had 17 people. And slowly, I love it, one after another, they're gone. And I talked about illegal immigration. And you talk about heat? That was heat times 10. Rush Limbaugh said, I've never seen any human being receive so much incoming, meaning from those people. It was unbelievable. But, after 2 or 3 weeks of like going into a cocoon, steel cocoon, people started saying, you know, Trump is right. And then you had horrible things happen. You have Kate in San Francisco, beautiful Kate, shot in the back by an illegal immigrant. You had numbers come out that were horrible, what it's doing to the economy. You had other things happen. You had Jamil, a young man, 17 years old, shot in the face by an illegal immigrant. This is a guy that should have never been allowed in the country. Shot him for sport. This unbelievable guy who I'm friendly with his father. His father is like this great guy. His father's, you know, his life can never be the same, folks. You know, they say time. He told me the other day, no, time makes it worse, not better. It'll never get better. Here's a young, incredible kid who was going to go to, good football player, who's going to go maybe to Stanford on a scholarship, and the whole thing is just so sad. Shot in the face. You had the veteran, the female, the Marine, the veteran in Los Angeles was raped, sodomized, and killed. 65-year-old woman raped, sodomized, and killed by an illegal immigrant, and so much more. And people started saying, you know, Trump is right. He's really right. We got a problem. And it's not, and remember, I say it, and I'll say it all the time, we want people to come in legally, but we've got to vet these people. Look, we've got to vet these people. I mean, we have people where we draw from lotteries. Lottery, why? Who the hell wants lotteries? I don't want lotteries. We want great people coming into this country. We have to have great people coming into this country. It has to be like an honor, and it has to be an honor for them. You don't want them to come in because they just happen to be there. So we're going to stop. We're going to stop, and we're going to get smart, and we're going to have people come in, but we're going to have people come in through a process that's going to be a fair and equitable process. And the bad ones, we have some people in this country. We have, as of last week, it was reported, 179,000 illegal immigrants who are criminals. Okay? Think of it. Think of it. We have, think of that, what that means. This was as of last week. 179,000. All right, thank you. Who's that person that stood? That was so great. Who's the person that did that? Put up your hand. Put up your hand. I want to, come on, bring that person up here. I love that. Come on up here. Come here. Come here. So amazing. Oh, that's class. Isn't that terrible? See, that's what we're all fighting for, that. Isn't that terrible? And you know what? The press will put that out. Look, see, the cameras now are moving because that's the only way they ever see the crowd. Isn't that terrible? To me, now they won't say that. If I say, oh hell, they say, oh, Trump used a horrible word. That person does that with their hands and fingers, and they won't report that. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It is so disgusting. And I'll tell you what, the press should be, they should be ashamed of themselves. I want to see, no, they should be ashamed of themselves. It's disgraceful. Who is the person, though? Raise your hand. Who's the person that took action over there? Come here. Come here. I love these guys. I love these guys. I love these people. Come here. Come here. Come here. Get over here. Look at this guy. Come here. Come on up. Bring him up here. That's all right. Bring him up. I want him up here. Come here. Bring him up, too. Come here. Come here. Say it.
Do not let them intimidate you. You back this man right here to the hilt. They will say anything. They will do anything to keep in power, okay? We don't need who we've got in there now. I'm talking Republicans and Democrats. He's right. We need to get some fresh bunch up there. Some fresh blood. Some fresh thinking, okay? And my man, Donald Trump, I'll tell you what, I ain't gonna lie to you, Donald. When you first got into this, I kind of was a lippy. I ain't gonna lie. So I don't know, Donald Trump, you the best we got by far.
He's a great public speaker, this guy.
I got 2 tours of Iraq. I'm a Richmond County deputy. If it wasn't for Mr. Trump right here, I don't think any of us would have the voice that we have. This is the only man that's going to really bring America back. He understands what it means for me and my people out here who have been to war. The police, everything you talk about, Mr. Trump, I can promise you right now, my department and the departments around me, we need you.
Great. I mean, that's so cool. But think of it. I see this guy, nasty language, really horrible language, which won't be reported by these guys. Really horrible, horrible language. For what? You know, when you think of it, we're all after the same thing, right? Whether you're Democrat, whether you're liberal, Republican, conservative, whatever you are, we want safety, we want a good military, we want our vets taken care of, we want borders, we want education, we want homes, we want to be able to eat and live and have a nice life. I mean, you'd think I could talk to somebody like that in 10 minutes, but a lot of them don't want to listen to it. You know, a lot of them have bad thoughts beyond, I'm telling you, there's something going on. But you hear the filthy mouth, and then all of a sudden I see fists starting to fly, so like about 4 of them. And a rough cookie. This was not an easy guy. I looked at him, I said, that's a rough cookie, the other guy. And then he puts his fingers in the air, you know. He wouldn't do it in front of those guys, let me tell you. But I love it. I love people with courage. I mean, courage. Sometimes you'll go and we'll go and stuff like that will go on a whole entire time. But I just respect those 2 guys a lot, so I want to thank you, fellas. Amazing. Really amazing. Really amazing. It's what we need. We need it. So you look at what's happening with our country where we're being beaten so badly, and trade is so important. Now, military, to me, look, it all goes this way. When I came down, it was about trade, it was about the borders, and I did very well. And I've been sort of number 1, I think, almost from the beginning, right? They all said, he'll never run, his life is too good, why would he do that? Sometimes I ask myself that question, actually. But And then they said, well, okay, he just announced he's running. Then they said he'll never sign Form A, right? Remember, that's where you sign your life away. Then they said he'll never put in his financials because maybe he's not as successful as everyone thinks. Turned out I'm much more successful. I built an unbelievable company, very low debt. I filed almost 100 pages of financial documents, like this incredible company. And the press was down there. They've gone over every inch of it. They've misrepresented as much as they could, but they can't, basically. It's an unbelievable company. That's the kind of thinking we need. We have $19 trillion. We need somebody that knows how to deal. We need somebody that can get Carl Icahn. We need somebody that can get we are the greatest business people in the world. We're going to use them. We need somebody that can do it. We can turn this thing around so fast. We're going to turn around. You're going to be so proud of it. You're going to be so proud of it. And then you see people like the two guys that just came up here. I mean, to me, it's such an honor. And we have so many people. We have so many great people in this country, but they're not allowed. You take a look at small business. I have a friend, he's a small businessman. There's no way he can ever make it because of regulations. He's got regulations over regulations over regulations that are put in there. He's a farmer. He can't, if a puddle develops in the middle of his area, they consider a lake for environmental purposes. He has to walk around. The whole thing is crazy. He's showing me things. We're going to get rid of regulations. We're going to go back to being a real country. We make deals with China, environmental deals. We have a president that talks about the ozone, and he talks about all of the different things, right? All of the different, and then he flies to Hawaii to play golf in a 747 with the 4 Monster engines. Think of it. And they're old engines, too. They spew plenty. And he flies back a few weeks later. It's a long round of golf. He plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour. It's true. So, one thing I say about that, if you become president, and you go to the White House, why would you want to leave the White House? I mean, first of all, you got to work. When he signs his executive orders, that's because he couldn't even get the Democrats together. He couldn't get anyone together. Ronald Reagan got together with Tip O'Neill and they got things done, right? The way it's supposed to be, and there can be compromise. You can't be just like this guy, Ted Cruz. He stands on the Did you see the senator from Oklahoma just came out with a statement, one of the most incredible statements. Here's a guy, he came out with such an unbelievably strong statement that Ted Cruz is the most dishonest person in the Senate. Like the most incredible statement. He's a Republican that just came out. And what I'm telling you is true. I've never seen a human being lie so much. He lies about everything. He'll take your record, like I talked to you about Obamacare. He'll say, Trump loves Obamacare. Loves Obama. How do you fight that? The guy says he loves Obamacare. I hate Obamacare. It's going to be terminated. I just told you that. No. But I tell it everyone. I am the strongest on the Second Amendment. He said, Donald Trump wants to destroy the Second Amendment. I'm the strongest. I'm in the NRA. My sons are in the NRA. I'm going to be, first day in office, I'm terminating Obama's new executive order, another one, having to do with the Second. So he's a liar. So at least I have, the presence to be able to call out, if someone, and I hate to say it about a person, but actually during the debate, Rubio called him a liar, so I felt a lot better. Don't forget, here's a guy, Dr. Ben Carson's a good guy. Here's a guy that during the election, during the caucus in Iowa, he went out and he told everybody, what did he say? He said, Carson's out. He's out. Vote for us. Carson's quit. He just left. He's not in the election anymore. Caucus for him. Okay? And so he got thousands of votes because of that. Thousands and thousands of votes. How dishonest is that? He did it's called voter violation form. It says that if you don't vote for him, essentially, if you don't vote for him, you got a problem. It looks like it came from the IRS. It looks like a government document. I'll tell you one thing I learned. These politicians are dishonest people. Wow. They are really, really dishonest people. They are really, really dishonest people. So I think he's going to go down. I think a guy can't be, I'm a Christian, but and Protestant. But, you know, Ted holds up the Bible, and then he lies about so many things. And I mean, these are lies. These aren't like, oh, maybe he is. What he did to Carson was a total lie. He said he didn't know about it, but then he apologized. How about this? He apologized like an hour after the election. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. The election's over, and he said the guy was name. So we have to be smart. So important. We're going to make America great again. We're going to make maybe America greater than ever before. But, and I don't want your money. I want your vote. I don't want your money. I don't want any money. I don't need your money. I don't need your money. And I want to take care of our vets. You have a big vet area here. We're going to take care of them to a level. To a level. These are our greatest people. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the vets. And speaking of the vets, do I love our police? Do I love our police? Our police are not being treated with the proper respect, believe me. Believe me. So we love our police, and we have to cherish and protect our police too. And every once in a while, somebody's going to make a mistake or somebody's going to be a bad apple. Unfortunately, they play that on the news forever, and they don't play the 100% practically good things that are done by the police. But we have so much support from the police, and again, without the police, we're not standing here like this, and things aren't the same, believe me. So we have to pay a lot of homage to the police. So the election's coming up, and you're going to have a big part. New Hampshire was unbelievable. New Hampshire gave me a number that was greater than the polls. We were at like 30, and this is 30 against many people, so 30% against many people. I get a kick where they talk about if the establishment ever got together and they put their numbers together, they'd be the same as Trump, and maybe they could defeat him. I say, wait a minute. If these guys quit, in other words, if they put all their numbers into one, right? I say, folks, these people, I mean, these are the basic, they're not smart people. The press, I'm telling you, 20% are good. 25% are okay. Some of them are the worst you've ever seen and the most dishonest. I think Karl Rove is one of the most dishonest human beings. I'll tell you, one of the most dishonest human beings. First of all, he's a total bushy. He's a total bushy. Here's a guy who spends millions and millions on campaign and loses almost all of them. But I think some of the guys, George Will, Karl Rove, there's some guys that Krauthammer's a disaster. Krauthammer's a disaster. This guy, I mean, when I won New Hampshire like a landslide, Krauthammer said, well, it was all right. He didn't do that great. I mean, this guy is a disaster. But think of those three. There are some others. I won't even mention their names. Just a couple that are even worse than them. But they're really dishonest people. But let me tell you something. They say if this one got out and that one got out, and if they all banded together and won, they could maybe defeat Trump. Then I said to them, wait a minute, folks. If they've got 5%, 4%, 3%, 2%, and they get out, I'm going to get some of those votes. And the guy goes, ooh, I never thought of that. Right? It's like they get out, yeah, they're going to vote for me. Some of them would vote mostly for me. They said they add them up, 100% here, 100%, 100%. Here's the story. I'm going to do a great job for you. I'm working for you. I'm working for you. I'm working for you. Again, I'm not taking any of their money. They came in, a man came into my office. He offered me millions of dollars, a lobbyist type. And he offered me millions of dollars. Don, when you're number one, I've been number one almost since I announced, okay? Because I did a great job. I built a great company. I employed thousands of people. I've employed tens of thousands of people over the years. And like places like Mexico, I have so many Hispanics working for me. I think I'm going to win the Hispanics. I think I'm going to win places like Michigan that aren't even in play for the Republicans. The Republicans, it's very hard to win because structurally you're at a big disadvantage. You have a lot of disadvantages. I'm going to bring states into play and win them easily that aren't even in play. Polls are coming out saying, I beat Hillary I beat Hillary, and I haven't even started on her yet. I haven't even started. I mean, this guy, Cruz, comes out, well, I don't think he's going to win. This guy is so strident and so nasty, he's going to lose every single state. Then Bush, poor Bush, he comes out. He goes, well, I don't think that Donald Trump can beat Hillary Clinton, but I can. I say, well, why aren't you beating me? Why aren't you beating me? You know, I mean, the guy gets up and they just say things. He said the other day, it was sort of incredible. So the numbers just came out in New Hampshire. So I had a tremendous victory. Won every single group. So I was at 36%. I think he was, what, at 3 or 4%. He spent, listen to this, $44 million in the state of New Hampshire. I spent $3, and much of that money I get back because it's for airplanes that I own, so I have to pay myself back, okay? No, can you believe it? So Bush spent $44 or $45 million in New Hampshire, right? I spent $3, and I won in a landslide against everybody. So I have 36, he has like 4, 5, 6, whatever, you know, something that was so low I didn't even get that. I didn't want to go that far down in the charts. And by the way, the only reason I mention him is because he spent $22 million on negative ads on me. Even now, I come here, I see this negative ad, something, ice melting. He said all sorts of things. They're wrong. They're just wrong. But it's, you know the one I'm talking about, it's a very dark ad. Ice is melting. It's all wrong stuff. I mean, it's all wrong stuff. So anyway, so here's what we have to do. Saturday is so important. We're going to beat Hillary. We're going to beat Hillary. We're going to beat Hillary, just like I'm beating all these guys. You have some big polls coming out. Actually, a great poll came out today, a very good PPP, public policy poll, came out today, has us very high, 36, 35, 36. Everyone else is way down. But just assume that we're even. Assume that we're behind, because you got to go and vote. You got to go and vote. Assume that we're behind. Some big polls are coming out today and tomorrow, but don't even look at them. Just assume that they're terrible, because if they're terrible, you're going to go vote more so. I give you my word. Look, we are going to do such a great job. You're going to be so proud of this country. You're going to be so proud of your president. You're going to be proud of your president, because I don't need this. I don't need this. Like you folks. I mean, you don't have to be here, and I don't need it. I don't need it. But it's just that I love the country. It's been so good to me. And, you know, honestly, it's been so good, and it's got so much potential. If I didn't think it had the potential it had, if I didn't think it could be saved, I'd feel terribly, but I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't do it, because I'd say, well, wait a minute, maybe we can do something so spectacular. We have to let this country really go. We have to get rid of these rules, regulations, stuff that was put in for other reasons, stuff that was put in for the wrong reasons. Our banks aren't loaning anybody money. We have Dodd-Frank. It makes it impossible for a head of a bank to loan any money. The regulators are running the banks. We've got to unleash, and we've got to take back our deals. We've got to take back our people. We've got to bring back our jobs to this country. We're going to bring them back to this country. So I only say this. I love you people. We want to win. We're going to win so big, and I just want you on Saturday, such a big day. You got to go out. You got to vote, and I guarantee you that this is the beginning. You're going to remember this day, and you're going to say to yourselves, I remember that day 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. It's going to get older and older, and you're going to say, this was one of the great days of my life, because this was the beginning of making America great again. I love